So Sunday, I started getting this massive headache. So that's when I really started popping the aspirin, every 3 hours.
But aspirin or ibuprofen?
It was ibuprofen.
There's a big difference between aspirin and ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory.
I was taking Advil. Whatever
yes,
Advil.
That is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
This is what I keep hearing, and I don't know if this has been substantiated, that you shouldn't take ibuprofen while you have this.
Okay,
For whatever reason. I don't know what that is.
I don't know if that's been discredited or is that real?
I don't know either.
So I was taking a lot of Advil.
Okay.
A lot of Advil and Tylenol to bring the fever down. So I got it down on Sunday, but then I had a massive headache. So then they said, well, your temperature's going down. This was our doctor friend. Your temperature's going down. Just hit the Advil. So I hit the Advil. Monday at noon, I couldn't breathe. Like gasping for air. And my wife had to call 911 to the house to come get me. So I'm gasping for air. 911 shows up. They bring me outside. They throw me on this oxygen machine right away.
What kind of an oxygen? A ventilator?
Not a ventilator. No, just a normal oxygen machine. But they say we got to get oxygen in you.
Okay.
And it's almost like a movie. The neighbors are all out. Ambulance is overlooking me. You know, the ambulance is there. All the neighbors are looking. I can't breathe. My son is in the window. This is the worst. My son is in the window. He doesn't know what's going on, but he knows it's not good. And he's only 3, and he's crying. And I'm watching him cry. And I can't do anything. I can't breathe. And literally when they picked me up to carry me to the ambulance because they needed to get me to the hospital right away, it was the whole window thing. He put his hand up. Oh,
Jesus.
It really hurt me really bad. So I get into the ambulance and they take me. As soon as I get to the hospital, the doctor goes, you got corona. So they take
but did they do a test or did he
Yes,
just know?
the first thing they do is they do a chest x-ray.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, you got double pneumonia and corona.
What's double pneumonia?
When it's in both lungs.
Okay.
So double pneumonia and you have corona, we believe, but we got to test you. So they, swabbed me and stuff. Mm-hmm. But they took all the precautions like I had corona. I was the first corona patient at this hospital. This is how early it was, So they took me to ICU and the doctor came in and I go, hey, this is escalating real quick. And I still can't breathe. I go, am I going to make it? And he goes, we'll know in 2 days. It's going to go really good or really bad. And we'll know in 2 days. And every nurse or doctor that came in, when they can't tell you if you're going to make it or not, they try to comfort you, but they can't really say you're going to make it. And I was in the worst pain I've ever felt in my life too.
Where?
Head. Just think about the worst migraine you've ever had times 100. My body was hot and cold. It would get so hot. My temperature got up to 103.8 and they had to bring it down. And then it would go up to 103.8 again. I couldn't move. My body was aching. Literally the second night I was there, and I know this is the wrong thing to think, but if they had an eject button on life, I may have hit it. I was in that much pain. Like that, I couldn't even think clearly. I can't put into words how bad it was for me.
So your head, your body, everything.
Everything. Where you just want it to be over.
Wow.
It's either you're going to make it, you're like, and it was so bad where you want to think about your family, but I was in so much pain. I thought about them, but it was, I can't make it. This is the end, and I can't see my family because they already told me that no one can come into the hospital. And I'm texting my wife, lying to her, saying, hey, babe, I'm going to make it through, where I'm talking to my parents going, this may not go well. And my parents, the first thing I texted my parents is, I'm scared. I've never texted them something like that. And they knew how serious it was. And I said, look, my wife, Claire, is at home with the 2 kids. I can't let her worry about this. She was already stressed out enough. She saw enough, so I'm in there and the doctor says that no one can come see you. So I'm going, if these are the last 2 days of my life, I'm going to die alone in this hospital. And it just broke me up so bad that, I've taken care of myself. I've done everything I can. to take care of myself. And why am I lying in this bed right now? And it was a thing where when I did think about my wife, it was, I will never see my wife and 2 kids again. That's all that went through my mind. Is like,
Did they put you on a ventilator?
No, my doctor saved my life. My doctor said, if we put you on a ventilator, he says, because a nurse brought it up, should we put him on a ventilator? And he goes, no way. If we put him on a ventilator, he's going to die because his body is going to say, okay, this machine is breathing for us. We don't need to work anymore. And your body shuts down. If you've heard in New York, 80% of the people put on ventilators die.
And that's why you think?
I think that's why I survived.
I've heard that. I've heard that being speculated by other doctors as well, and it's very controversial because so many doctors put people on ventilators, and the last thing they want to hear is another doctor saying, "You put someone on a ventilator, they'll die." But
my doctor said that straight up in the room in front of me to the nurses. Like, if we put him on it, he's going to die. Because his thing was, it just makes sense why he would. Because now this machine is going to breathe for him, so his body's not going to. It's like working out. You don't work out a muscle, it gets weak.
Right.
This machine is doing all your lifting. So why would we want to put them on that? Unless it's just we have to put them on it, But you've heard doctors were putting on people so fast because their oxygen levels were so low.
Right.
They're like, this is not normal. So we need to do something to get their oxygen level up.
I think doctors are like everything else, right? There's really good ones, then there's ones that aren't as good.
No. It's true.
With everything else, carpenters, plumbers, everything.
Everything. And it's really, I look back, I've become very close to him. And the dude saved my life. Because if I went on a ventilator, bro, I may not be here. Because
when you go on a ventilator, they kind of
knock
put
you out. Yeah, you're unconscious. Literally, that machine is doing all your breathing.
So what did they give you? What kind of medication did they give you while you were out? While you were down?
I'm healthy. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. I was the perfect test subject.
Maybe that's a problem. Your body's not used to fighting off bullshit. Right? Maybe if you're a guy who partied all the time, your body's like, well, we know how to recover.
Right?
This motherfucker went on a bender.
Listen to this. I gave it to my mom.
Oh, no.
So she gets home. She didn't tell me while I was in the hospital. She beat it in one day, and she talks shit to me now. Oh, see, I beat it in one day. I have one fever. You take 8 days in ICU, And then she tells me, oh, it's because you're too healthy. You need carbs.
You need carbs? That's hilarious.
Now she's a doctor. But I gave it to my mom. She beat it in one day. But
well, she probably wasn't run down.
No.
Dude, run down is the thing, man. Look, I'm a guy, I take a lot of vitamins. I work out a lot. I get in the sauna every day. But I just flew back from Florida. Right?
I saw you.
To Florida and came back yesterday. I felt like dog shit. And just from the flight, man. And it's one day. So I scheduled an IV vitamin drip. I had the vitamin drip people come to my house, hit me with glutathione, zinc, vitamin C, everything. And I felt better almost immediately.
Yeah, you got to take care of yourself. When they reached out, and it was really all love. But so many doctors reached out to me too and said there's so much misinformation out there. And I texted you about one that people should know about. When people get out of the hospital with corona, there's no magical time. They're saying 14 days. Literally, when I got out the hospital, I was in the hospital for 8 days. The last 3 days, I didn't have a fever, so they let me go. They said 6 days after that, I would be fine. But another doctor told me, look, after you're cleared after 14 days, people still have corona. They're taking the chance that it's not contagious. And that's why hospitals don't test people. And he said that this is why hospitals don't test people before they let them go, is because they know they still got corona, but hopefully it's not contagious. So that's why they never test, because if they did, that means people got to stay there 2 to 3 weeks longer. And that's the real reason. He says we would never Can you imagine when New York was going through that really bad? I mean, they're still going through it, but when it was at its peak, if they tested everybody that left, most of those people would still have corona, so that would back up the system even more. And then insurance has to pay for an extra 3 weeks. So I learned that. I learned that my other doctor said this whole pre-existing conditions is bullshit. He goes, you came in. He says, this is how much bullshit it is. You came in. If I would have died in the hospital, they would have said my pre-existing condition was migraines. They would have gone down as he said they do.
There are some pre-existing conditions that weaken your immune system, like obesity, diabetes. There's a bunch of them that they're saying in New York are the primary factors of the people that wind up having a really hard time with this.
Well, he's saying, though, they're using that pre-existing conditions, and I say it in quotes, to let healthy or other people almost like, oh, well, if you don't have this pre-existing condition, you're going to be fine. But it's not true. He's like, they're using it to calm people down. He goes, it's not true at all. He says, I see people that are fine, just like you, Mike. I see people that do have pre-existing conditions. I see the whole gamut. It's not just people with pre-existing conditions, but they're finding those people and highlighting those. And they're even adding deaths to that pre-existing conditions total because they need some.
What do you mean deaths to the pre-existing?
For example, like mine. If my pre-existing condition, he said, if I were to die in that hospital, he says, oh, well, he had migraines in his past. So they would have put that down as a pre-existing condition.
Well, how often do you get migraines?
I mean, ever since I was a kid, but
really,
well, I played college football for University of Arkansas.
Right.
I got so many concussions I couldn't play anymore. So, and this was before the whole concussion thing. So my mom made me quit. She was like, you're not playing anymore. So it was a thing where, but it wasn't a condition. I have one every 5-6 months, maybe. But he says, what you come in with, since I had migraines, and they didn't know my history of migraines, but he goes, we would have had to say that was a pre-existing condition.
I haven't heard that pre-existing condition being migraines, but I have heard diabetes is a giant factor, obesity is a giant factor, emphysema, people who smoke cigarettes. But then there was an article recently, I got super suspicious, and I didn't even read the article. It was an article that said that nicotine may help people with coronavirus. And I was like, that's the fucking cigarette industry.